Hi there. Workplace cultures can sometimes be a world unto themselves, with behaviours and norms that don't necessarily reflect those of society at large. That's one lesson we can draw from the ongoing controversies regarding sexual harassment and violence. To help us make sense of this, we're joined in this culture chat by Catharine Lumby, who recently returned to the university as Professor of Media. Catharine Lumby, thanks so much for joining us on this culture chat.
What a pleasure.
Catharine, you've studied and advised many organisations on cultural change and reform. Where exactly does bad culture in the workplace come from?
Well, it starts very young. We're inducted into this as children. The first two things we notice about people are gender and race. And what we should be learning very young is that everyone's human and everyone has human rights.
So we should be learning about those things and about people's difference. Catharine, can we learn something like empathy, or is that something that you can't necessarily be taught?
Interesting, Tim, because I think that some men, obviously not all men, think that women have to teach them about empathy. And that's a problem because that's a gendered idea. So I think we have to start young with so-called empathy training in the sense that we need to teach communication. So when my children were in daycare, what I told them was they'd want to play with someone else's toy occasionally, but they had to ask. And just because someone said yes, it didn't mean that you could play with it indefinitely, break it, or take it home. And my kids were born male, so I tried to induct them into that idea, as well as the idea that race and gender are not the things that we should worry about when we look at people. We should worry about how we communicate.
So conversations in the home certainly matter. What about conversations at work with colleagues? What can you do if you encounter forms of culture that can be improved? Do you have any tips?
Yes, be an ethical bystander. If you see something, call it out. But that's why education matters in workplaces, ongoing education, where you give people an opportunity to think through and talk about how they would resolve a situation. Because often people want to do the right thing, Tim, but they just don't know what to say or how to do it. So even grown-ups need that kind of ongoing help, I guess, to do the right thing.
As Catharine reminds us, all of us can speak out against harassment and bad behaviour when we see it. Our university values include those of courage, respect and integrity, but it's vital that we live those values and put them into practice.